Joined now by James Elder, the spokesperson for UNICEF, who is currently in Gaza. James, good to see you again. Thank you for taking time to talk to us. What are you seeing on the ground in Gaza now that the truce has collapsed?
Devastation and heartache. I think what you read there is so spot on. Death, unfortunately, seeing that at hospitals. Well, hospitals, there aren't many left. People just where I am here now trying to move somewhere again on footpaths and so on. A degree of confusion and fear for people who were already living a nightmare. As you said, the bombardments overnight belied any idea that this would not be like people here endured the horrors of the last 7 weeks. So just an overwhelming sense of fear and nowhere to hide. Absolutely nowhere to hide.
This is what you do, James. You've been in places that are difficult, but I want you to help our viewers understand the situation in Gaza. A UN expert has said in a tweet, this is a grim game of turkey shoot, a move from indiscriminate killing of civilians to organized killing. There's no internet or electricity in southern Gaza on a regular basis. So how does the population check SMS messages about coming attacks? End quote. What do you make of this? Because this is the big question that people have, right? That Israel needs to, or says they need to get rid of Gaza, and there are a lot of people who understand that. They understand the horrific things that happened on October 7th. But this feels like an absolute no-win for innocent Palestinian civilians living in Gaza.
Without a doubt, unfortunately, and that is so much harder to bear when you see those children, when you see those burns, when you see what the glass of shrapnel does. Not to a few, Ali. What I found so difficult here after 20 years with UNICEF is just the intensity, seeing hospitals that are war zones, children on the floor, medical staff doing 36-hour shift, a desperate lack of women to help people give birth. And the safety issue, people, as you say, have moved so many times. I spoke to a woman who said, you know, my home was bombed, my 2 children were killed, my husband was killed, I moved to a refuge, it was bombed, I came south, I'm told to move again. Ali, there's a dangerous narrative, I believe, which is around this idea of go to a safe place. It creates this sense that there is indeed somewhere. One of the places they want to put people in, or the main place, Al-Mawasi, is, I've done the maths here, is around, geographically, is around 4% of the entire space of Gaza, around 4%. They want to put 80% of the population in there. You would literally have people almost on top of each other. I think that they know that. I think that they're aware of that. And that I find very, very unnerving, that kind of narrative. So there's nowhere safe. When I'm talking to children in a hospital, they are not safe and they know it. When I talk to families, I saw a family 2-3 days ago who yesterday were bombed. They are not safe. I know where I am. I am not safe. I've had 100 UN colleagues who've been killed. We have to drive home the message that the only safety comes when the aerial attacks, the artillery, the bombs, when they stop.
What do you want? What do you need people to understand? Being in Gaza, being on the ground, being a 20-year veteran of UNICEF means you've seen all sorts of things. I've talked to you from places in the world where you've been. You tweet a lot about empathy, right? That for a lot of people, this is politics, or this is polarized, or this is existential, depending on what your views are. You're trying to express to people that there's something just different. Just empathize with the humanity of innocent children and people dying.
Absolutely. I think at its core, this entire discussion needs to be about empathy, about compassion. I find it very unsettling. I find it disturbing how so many people, particularly people in power, seem to have been able to overlook the killing of thousands and thousands of boys and girls, and now seem to be quite willing to turn away whilst the attacks begin again with an intensity, remembering that this will not bring peace. This is the end game. Get the children who are held hostage still somewhere, end their torment, get them home, but bring peace to the region. And the more attacks, the more polarized everyone is, the more angry, the more frustrated, the further we move. So I guess if I can, Ali, say one thing, when it's empathy, I met a girl 3 days ago. She's 20. She'd studied in the States. She wants to be a doctor. She said this in a moment. Mara, she said, I dreamed of being a surgeon. I dream of a world where a doctor wouldn't have to do surgery without anesthetics. I dream of a world where a doctor wouldn't have to see his patients die because there's no electricity, where it's about helping people, not burying people. And she ended by saying, but I hear my dream is not possible. That's what I want people to understand. The potential of the young people here is extraordinary. The literacy, extraordinary. They are being killed.
James, thank you. Thank you for taking time to be with us again. Stay very safe and keep those around you safe, because that's what you do. James Elder, spokesperson for UNICEF, joining us now from Gaza.